Greetings and welcome to our daily walk through the scripture for December the 28th. Your readings today find you in Zechariah chapter 14, Revelation 20, Psalm 148, and Proverbs chapter 31, verses 8 and 9. Now, before we get into Revelation 20, I just want to hit Zechariah 14 real quick because it talks about the coming day of the Lord. And I want you to read the description. Behold, a day is coming for the Lord when the spoil taken from you will be divided in your midst, for I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken, and houses plundered, and the women raped. Half of the city shall go into exile, but the rest of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Is this sounding familiar? This is sounding like Revelation, isn't it? Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations when he fights on a day of battle. This is sounding really familiar. On that day, his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives that lies before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall be split into two from east to west by a very wide valley, so that one half of the mount shall move northward, the other half southward. Keep going. And on that day there will be no light, cold, or frost, and there will be a unique day which is known to the Lord, neither night nor day, and the evening time there shall be light. On that day the Lord will come. What we're talking about here, folks, this is what we read yesterday. This is the battle. This is the Armageddon opportunity. And then there's going to be a day when the living waters shall flow from Jerusalem, and the Lord will be king over all the earth. This is a beautiful scene right here. And we get a glimpse of it also in Revelation chapter 20 today. We get a 1,000-year glimpse of it. But remember, this is actually not the completion. What we're about to read in Revelation 20 is not the completion of God's judgment. This is still yet another part of it. But there is the question, because a lot of people kind of look at it and they go, well, what about this 1,000 years, Jeremy? Does it really happen? And that's a great question. There's actually three views on the 1,000 years. You have the premillennial view, the postmillennial view, and the amillennial view. Okay, now, what's the difference between the views, you say? Well, that's a wonderful question. Well, let me tell you very simply. So premillennial view basically means that that those that believe in the premillennial view believe in a literal 1,000 years. They believe that Jesus will literally come, but he's going to be the one that ushers in the 1,000-year reign, meaning that he is not going to, that we are not going to do it, but that Jesus is going to do it. Okay, now there are different views on the tribulation aspect of it and stuff, but for now let's just focus on the millennial aspect. The post-millennial view also believes in a literal 1,000 years, okay? But they believe that this view is going to be ushered in by the church, by the gospel and the spreading of the gospel, and that we will receive the 1,000-year reign in that way. Okay, so both the pre and the post-millennial believe in a literal millennium. Now, the amillennial view, however, does not believe in a literal millennium. They look at this as symbolic. They look at this as something that doesn't literally happen, but that there will be a time of peace, and that eventually that Jesus will bodily return. And this is the key. Whichever view you hold to, which you're welcome to hold to any of the views, and there are godly men and women that I know that fall on all sorts of spectrums when it comes to this. The most important thing is, will Jesus physically, bodily return? And if you answer yes to that, then you're in good shape. If you answer no to that, then we will have issues with orthodoxy. We'll have issues with Scripture, because Scripture is very clear that there will be a physical return of Jesus. So when you look at this 1,000 years, you can look at it and say, hey, this came in when Jesus showed up, the 1,000 years started, which is kind of what the premillennials view. They take 19 as the end of the tribulation and the beginning of the 1,000 years, if you will. The postmillennial view doesn't necessarily see those things. They kind of see them overlapping. But the amillennial, again, sees all of this as symbolic, not necessarily literal. However, I will be honest with you, I have a hard time not taking these things literally. The judgment of Satan that we read about and the judgment of the dead, I think those are literal occurrences that are going to happen. Just like we're about to see a new heaven and a new earth, I have a hard time moving from that this is all just metaphor and then going to the literal. And I think that's where the amillennial viewpoint falls greatly short, is they kind of interpret however it makes them feel comfortable, not necessarily what Scripture says. And Scripture is not designed necessarily to be comfortable. But regardless, a literal 1,000-year reign with Jesus is going to happen, I believe. And there will be a time of great peace and prosperity. Jesus is going to be there. But then at that point, there will, after that 1,000 years, come a final time of judgment, the judgment of Satan and the judgment of the dead. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. We will get to more stuff. We're running out of time. We got what, 3 days left? All right, well, let's hit it hard. We'll see you next time.